Hello, this is Josh Kulp for Daf Shevui. I am shooting this video inside the Beit Midrash of the conservative yeshiva. Usually I go hide in a room, but it's pretty quiet right now. But still, if you hear some voices in the background, you should know that you're hearing voices from inside the conservative yeshiva here in Jerusalem. We are learning Daf Kaf Vav this week of Masechet Avodah Zarah. And as we change the gist of these videos to be a preview, so I'm just going to give you a little bit of a preview. It's a little bit of a difficult page, not in terms of hard to follow the argument, but maybe hard to accept some of the teachings on this page, or some of them I don't think should be sort of accepted into your lives, but you'll see what I mean when you learn the daf. So the first two issues, again, we're talking about things that Jews and non-Jews cannot do for each other. And the first of them is midwifery, I believe it's pronounced, helping give birth to a baby. And the second one is nursing. The general idea here seems to be that Jews should not basically offer aid to non-Jews, and the Jews should fear that non-Jews offering aid to Jews may actually murder them. So that's the nature of these discussions. Again, I want to sort of reiterate that most of these laws were not applied in medieval Europe, and certainly not in the modern age, but it doesn't mean that we've erased them from our books. They're part of our cultural heritage. There's a little bit of a discussion about some of these prohibitions. Are they waived if the Jew would receive a fee for his or her services, which I think offers a little bit of a different understanding of the nature of this issue. Is the issue one of we should just do whatever we can to not promote idolatry, shall we say, in the world? Or shall we basically look at non-Jews as not our neighbors, and therefore we don't owe them services, but if they're paying, then it's perfectly okay? So there's a little bit of a discussion on that. The next subject turns particularly violent. Some of the more violent sources, I think, in the Babylonian Talmud or in Jewish tradition, indeed, about not saving the lives of certain categories of people, and then even going one step further, actively seeking to kill other people. Either they're traitors, which I might say that there are many societies, including I believe in American law, where traitors are still executed, or at least potentially could be executed. So it shouldn't sound so harsh, but to our ears. But some of them are more what we would call categorized as religious mistakes. And the text does seem to advocate violence, at least in a theoretical way, against apostates. That brings us to a discussion of different levels of apostasy. What does it mean to be a certain type of apostate? There seems to be different levels in this broader term. It's not a very long discussion. There are places that have longer discussions about these issues. They become very interesting issues in, say, the modern period, when Jews sort of moved out of the ghetto and began to live both Jewish but non-observant lives. But we're learning the Talmud. We're not going to really get into all of those discussions. There are some issues with the terminology, which term is used for which type of apostasy. Again, there are interesting discussions, but I would just urge you, as I've done throughout the beginning of this Masechet, to be careful about very easily applying categories from 2,000 years ago to categories that we recognize today in our own world. I think that's a complicated task, one that we should be very cautious of, sometimes maybe refrain from altogether, and certainly not do with sort of like a very easily one-to-one correspondence. And the final issue that will continue through Daf Kaf Zayin, page 27, is the issue of circumcision. Can non-Jews or Samaritans or other semi-Jewish people serve as circumcisers for Jews? And can Jews circumcise non-Jews in cases where there is no intent for conversion to Judaism? So those are the issues. A lot of mutual relationships, midwifery, nursing, circumcision, come up in this page. So good luck, and I hope you enjoy learning. And as always, if you have questions, you can go on our Daf Shevui Facebook page. That's probably the best place to ask questions. And I encourage everybody to promote Daf Shevui with friends, with other people, so that we can get a greater community of people learning.